Hello there, you are watching the Press Preview, a first look then at what's on the front pages. Time to see what's making the headlines with the Daily Mirror's Associate Editor, Kevin Maguire, and the Daily Mail columnist, Amanda Platell, with us from now until just before midnight. Welcome to both of you. So to the front pages then, quite a mixed bag, I think we'll agree tonight. The Financial Times leads, first of all, with the agreement at the COP28 climate conference to transition away from fossil fuels, a position which was made firmer after much criticism of the first draft. Same lead story for The Guardian, which calls it a landmark deal. The Telegraph reports that Britain is to build the next generation of fighter jets in a joint deal with Italy and Japan. The Eye carries news that Rishi Sunak may cut taxes again next year, but he's been warned by economists that it could mean interest rates remain high. The Daily Mirror talks to the mother of murdered toddler James Bulger, who welcomes news that one of her son's killers, John Venables, has been refused an application for parole. After the incoming chair of the BBC criticised Gary Lineker's social media posts about politicians, the Metro asks, has Lineker met his match? Meanwhile, in the Daily Mail, Conservative Rachel Maclean speaks out after she was reported to police over remarks she made on trans issues, saying the trans bullies won't silence me. The Sun reveals what it calls a secret date between Hollywood star Leonardo DiCaprio and model Lottie Moss. Why are you laughing?
He used to go out with her mum.
I thought you meant him.
I thought that was private.
And then it got confusing. Anyway, a reminder, by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of the papers while you listen to our guests. So let's head straight to Kevin and to Amanda. Welcome to both of you. So let's talk COP, first of all. We're saying hooray for the mention of fossil fuels, even though, you know, probably 1.5 degrees, that great ambition has been lost.
Yeah, and that's why I think if it really felt historic, it would be splashed on more papers than the Guardian, because transition away but not phase out, and what are the practical measures to do that? And as you say, that 1.5 goal, I think it's up to 1.2 now, above the rise in the world's temperature from pre-industrial levels, is going to be bust. So it doesn't really feel that historic, because you can sign a communique saying you're going to transition away, but what are you actually going to do? And of course, was there ever going to be a big breakthrough in an oil and gas producing area?
There was a fantastic dissection of all this, what this is going to look like in a few times on Sky, but here what you come away with is people saying, yeah, let's just use a bit less. You know, we're all going to agree. And what is the actual wording, Kevin? It basically says that, we're going to, calling all nations for the first time to transition from fossil fuels to avert the worst effects of climate change. Who are the biggest polluters in the world? China, India, America. And none of them have signed up to anything that is binding, anything that will hold them. And, there's no way that America, for instance, with its incredibly polluting lifestyle, is ever going to sign up. No president will ever sign up to anything like this. I think this whole thing is just complete drivel and nonsense, and it means nothing.
But it's not just India and China. Yes, they consume a lot of carbon fuels, but so do we in the UK. About 80% of our total energy,
Kevin, compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's about 1% of emissions. Although we've done more than our fair share since the Industrial Revolution. We got in a bit earlier than others. But about 80% of our energy now is from carbon, oil and gas. So we've got a long way to go.
And out of all the countries of the world coming together, all they've got is a kind of namby-pamby, let's all just use a bit less.
Because it's a UN process that determines you need to have consensus. If you decided to go with the bulk of the nations, then you might have a different deal. But you get 198 nations agreeing to this and celebrate the fact that for the first time, there's been 27 other ones of these where they've not mentioned the word fossil fuels. Finally, the elephant in the room is on the table.
Yeah, that's the sales pitch. That is a sales pitch.
What they've agreed means nothing. It means absolutely nothing.
And you go at the rate of the slowest and most powerful ships in the convoy.
Well, Russia are asking for gas to be seen as a transition fuel. So that's the self-interest, which is the great battle always, isn't it?
So I don't think there's a lot to celebrate, in all honesty.
OK.
But we will get more cheerful during the show.
OK.
I promise you.
I'm not sure we will right now, though. So, tax cuts, if they are...
Oh, ho, ho, ho,
will
here we
keep
are.
interest rates high, presumably because they're inflationary, is that right?
Exactly, yeah. So if you... Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister's questions, is saying, look, the economy's turned a corner. Well, it didn't look like that when the figures came out, showing it. The most recent month, there was a 0.3% drop,
October, yeah.
over a quarter, flatlined, no growth at all, teetering on the brink of recession. But nevertheless, politically, he wants to give tax cuts in the budget in March. But economists are saying, well, if you get tax cuts, that's good. You know, tax levels are at record high. But it means interest rates are less likely to come down. So you might get a bit more money in your pocket or through your wage packet, but you'd be paying it to your bank or your building society.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
Tonight I was planning to wear a really lovely blue dress because I am the Conservative representative on this show. And in the end, I thought, I'm going to wear black because that's how I feel.
I thought you were going to go clubbing.
No, you said...
Is that do you think is that a compliment?
Amanda, you said as you came in, you were in mourning for the Conservative Party.
Because this... It is just so despairing. What we've seen, you know, last night, we all waited with bated breath. I was watching Sky, seeing the votes go through, seeing this supposed, rebellion against Rishi, seeing the 5 different groups who are opposing him, and then just thinking, and you're staking everything on Rwanda, where you might be able to send a few dozen people. And you know, I used to be... Kevin and I have been in politics a long time. I was, I was an advisor for William Hague years and years ago when he was leader of the opposition. If he had come into a meeting and said, I've got this great idea, I'm going to stake our entire future on sending a few people, costing hundreds of millions of pounds, to a place no one's ever heard of, any wise person around that table would have said, you need to go and lie down, William. It is the most insane thing, him staking his...
I think the Conservatives are doing brilliantly.
You only think that because you're on the other side.
But the point is we've got the Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee making their decisions, their vote on whether to keep interest rates on hold, and then obviously...
But they have said that they think that they will come down.
Yeah, and mortgages have been falling, I read, in you know, just ahead of that
Very
meeting.
slightly, but you're right. They are coming down a little bit, but they're still way over what they were in the September of last year before Liz Truss went doolally.
Don't mention that woman's name.
Yeah, but the point is that if the economy is flatlining, as you head into an election year and you want to give away tax cuts in your budget, it starts to get very tricky, doesn't it, for the Prime Minister?
Yeah, but I have to say...
his own approval ratings are diving, as we've seen.
Yeah, but I have to say here loyally that inflation is halved and the number of people coming in small boats is down by 30%. And I think there was something else I was sent to say.
The backlog on migration as well.
Did you NHS waiting lists at a record high?
Oh, no, they're trying really hard.
Or hardly any growth in the economy or
really
debt
and
going up the next 3 years?
No, the debt's coming down. The debt's coming down. I know that.
Or that families, households at the next election will be £1,900 worse off on average than the last one, maybe that. I mean, that's why they won't win. I mean, it's the economy, isn't it? And they won't win because over a 5-year period, people have become a lot worse off.
When do you think they'll call the election?
Oh, I think it'll be next October or more likely November. I think we'll have the party conferences again.
I think it'll be as late as possible.
Yeah. And we go back.
They're going to buy as much time as they can to see if they can make the world really great and send 10 people to Rwanda. Well, and then everyone will vote for them.
But if you're Prime Minister, you don't easily relinquish power.
No.
You know you get... Chances are you'll get a hammering. So
chances are.
Yeah, let's move on to the Daily Telegraph. It's decided to avoid all of that and tell us a story that is embargoed overnight, actually. Britain is to build the next generation of fighter jets to spearhead a new fighter jet project for the first time under a treaty to be signed with, interestingly, Japan and Italy. Yeah,
and Germany carved out, who've been involved in the past with the tornadoes and the typhoons, because we're now buying F-35s from the US. But the Telegraph and Grant Shapps, the Defence Secretary, are particularly delighted that the new project will be headquartered in the UK, while previously the joint projects were headquartered in Germany. So, yes, I mean, that is
lots more jobs
that is a plus. There will be jobs in it, but these are very, very expensive, and they don't produce much in the economy once you've made them. If you build like a commercial plane, you'll have lots of people flying on it and generate cash there. These bits of military kit don't. They're sort of dead-end use in a way. Hope they never have to fire in anger. But it says 2035. I'll believe that. I mean, in defence procurement, 2040.
This story seems to be one of those stories that's lobbed in to make and the Telegraph is a very loyal conservative newspaper, lobbed in to show that we're still the heart of, Britain's still the heart of things that are really happening, you know, investing, really big things happening. The only thing that struck me reading that was, first of all, we've got Japan involved, and the only thing from my history I can remember is that they were really good at kamikaze flights.
That was, Amanda, that was a very long time ago and quite different prospect, and they've been an ally for a very long time. I can't believe how...
And what is the joke about Italy? That when you say it's the shortest book of world heroes...
I don't answer.
I think you'll find...
Should I go now?
No,
Yeah,
I'm going to quote Mr. Shapps in order to correct us and get us on the right flight.
I've got a yellow card. I've actually got a yellow card.
He's making the point that in a more dangerous age, the new fighter jet is being designed to form the backbone of our future air fleets. It will place our nations at the centre of air combat capability, and it will enhance regional security both in the Indo-Pacific and in Europe. And in a sense, it is a more dangerous age, isn't it? I mean, you know, drone attacks changed the face of the war as well. I'm not sure fighter jets actually combat that.
Yeah.
But we are facing an unstable, unstable era.
And Britain's still a big manufacturer. I think we're the world's 8th biggest manufacturer. We have a very vibrant defence sector. I sometimes object to who they sell weapons to, BAE, but they're a very good company in many ways. So if you're going to have these warplanes, which you do require, I think it's better we build them rather than buy them from somebody else.
I agree. I feel deeply comforted knowing this news.
The Tempest, I read now, will boast a powerful radar that can provide 10,000 times more data than current systems. This is according to the Ministry of Defence. Pilots will be able to use virtual reality in the aircraft's digital cockpit with vital information displayed directly in front of them. So it uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to maximise the effect that its arsenal can deliver. It's a dangerous tool by the sound of it.
It is, but
not?
you want it to be cutting edge, and you want the pilots to have the best protection possible when they're flying them.
Let's go to the Financial Times. Their lead story is about COP28 and the historic deal. But also just beneath that is this story. BP has said that its former boss, Bernard Looney, will forfeit more than £30 million after he committed serious misconduct.
It's an astonishing figure, and the allegation is that the Financial Times reported that he promoted women with whom he had past undisclosed relationships. Top of BP, you've got to disclose a relationship so that avoid conflicts of interest, and he's accused of not putting it. What a phenomenal
He must just be sitting back now thinking, what's his name, Bernard Looney, appropriately Looney. He must just be sitting back thinking, how many women, and if I split the number of women I've had undisclosed relationships with, how much of each of them cost me? But, you know, but the other thing that I really think is stories like this just make it feel as though you shouldn't have relationships with...
But this is the American system, isn't
I know.
it? You know, that's
but that you shouldn't...
Is that where we're de facto heading?
No, but it's encroaching here as well. And the whole notion that you shouldn't have relationships with people in the office. Most of us meet the people that we end up with through work. And I think this is a sad story for sad singletons who've got their eye on someone.
It's knowingly misleading the board, isn't it, about that information, which is the bit
But it's so unfair to the women because they could have been great women who deserved promotion and who had a genuinely honest relationship with this guy, and now they're the ones who will also be paid.
But that's all why he had to disclose it. He's the chief executive, he's the boss. The book has to stop at the top. I remember the British head of McDonald's, the burger chain, he fell foul of a similar rule. If a company's got a rule like that, you've got to follow it at the top. You might say it's unfair, and I get that.
Does your paper have a rule?
I don't think so.
Does
Sky?
Do you have a rule?
I don't think...
Like if Kevin and I
so.
stepped out, would that be misappropriate?
I'm not sure about your personal circumstances. On that note, I'm moving on. Coming up, rematch of the day. Gary Lineker's social media activity draws criticism again, this time from the BBC's incoming chairman. She's dangerous, isn't she? Let's be honest.
I told you.
I'm blushing.
I have had the week from hell.
Well, welcome back. You are watching the press preview. With me now, Kevin Maguire and Amanda Platell. Welcome back to both of you. Kevin, we're going to go to your paper, but I know, Amanda, you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I just... this is now the... basically, there was this Bulger's murderer was challenging. He was trying to get let out of jail after about 30 years, something like that. And the appeal court said he's still a danger. But the incredible thing is, and all credit to your paper, Kevin, The Mirror, because you have campaigned for his mum, Denise, who has just spent her entire life, because remember, there were 2 killers, and both of them were imprisoned as children, and one never went on to commit and is still out in a completely private identity. And then, of course, the horrible one, John Venables, who's committed again and again and again sexual child sex offences. He was appealing, and they've just said, it's not right, you're not coming out. But I just want to salute his mum, because to lose a child, you know, my parents lost their firstborn when he was older than that, but I know what pain that brings to a family, and that she's just fought her entire life. And I'm just thinking she at least is someone will have a little bit of joy at Christmas, knowing that this
Amanda,
monster...
there'll be people who won't remember this case. You know, James Bulger was just 2 years old. The killer you're talking about was 10 years old. He was led away from a shopping centre, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Taken to railway tracks
Liverpool.
and horrendously murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was completely
tortured and
brutalised.
killed. Yeah. But it's interesting, the 2 killers. Now, there's the whole issue at the time whether they should be tried in a junior court rather than an adult court, and how it should have been dealt with. But Venables, the guy, you know, the lad who's been refused parole, his life's gone a completely different direction to the other lad, Thompson, who, as far as we're aware, of course,
Thompson has disappeared with his new identity.
Life,
never committed a crime again.
Yeah, as far as we know.
And yet Venables is, you know, child
whatever
porn,
reason,
all sorts of things.
There's got to be something we can learn from that, hopefully, on how you deal with people as they come along, you know, now and in the future. But there were requests for the parole hearing to be in public, so you would know what safeguarding was going to be in place. But it was refused at the time. I remember.
But I just say, I salute him. I salute.
And a very enduring case for all of those who remember it. In the meantime, let's go to Metro. Is it Lineker versus the BBC round 2? The new chair might think so.
That's right. Samir Shah, they're going to be the new chair, quizzed by MPs. He says, signing a letter with other people, including Lord General Dannett, former head of the army, talking about Rwanda and a better way to treat refugees, wasn't a breach, he thinks, of the BBC code. But perhaps later, tweet exchanges with MPs were. I think he was attacked by Grant Shapps and Jonathan Gullis, so a very right-wing Conservative.
There were
and he replied.
There were 3 Tory MPs
but he replied to them after they had a go at him.
Is that a defence, though? Because he was provocative back, wasn't he?
No, because part of the new code says that you cannot make any personal attacks against politicians or any individuals, and he's breached that. And this new guy come in, he's the Director General Designate, whatever he is.
Chair.
Has just said, well, we've got to look into this. I just don't know why Gary Lineker keeps doing it. You know, he works for the BBC. There's a code there. We pay for his salary.
I can see why some people get worked up, though, Amanda. Look, if he was news or current affairs, it'd be very different. But he's doing football. He's not saying that winger's gone down the right wing and fallen over, you know, quicker than Suella Braverman. He's not doing that.
It is actually worse. Sorry, don't hit you. Sorry. It's been a long week, Anna.
Oh, God. I'll roll around like a Premier League footballer.
He has even more of a voice, because we know that the most important thing to millions of people in this country is football. And as a Spurs fan, I can say that's... I can understand he's got a huge platform, and I think that he is... They have a case against him.
OK. We can't do the final story, which was The Sun.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you.
And a secret date with Lottie Moss. We'll talk about it next time.
Should be hearing from me lawyer.
Kevin and Amanda, thank you both.
In your dreams.
See you for the 11.